Pankaj Saran and Joint Secretary Eurasia, Shri G.V. Srinivas, to brief you on the important discussions that were held today on the very substantive and large number of agreements that were concluded today as part of the India-Russia Annual Summit. Foreign Secretary is going to make an opening statement which will cover the broad aspects of the discussions today, and thereafter we'll open up to a Q&A. With that, I give the floor to Foreign Secretary.
Thank you. Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming for this press briefing. As the spokesperson pointed out, we are just concluding the summit, and we've had 2 hours of talks between Prime Minister and President Putin, which were very productive. You heard the statements by the Prime Minister and the President. They spoke for themselves. We also had 16 agreements and 3 announcements, and I'll just speak a little bit about that. We've released a joint statement. I suspect many of you would not have had the time to read it. So again, allow me to say a few words on particular subjects of interest there. Let me begin with the talks. I think I'm essentially summarizing the points of interest to the media in the talks. I think from our side, the Prime Minister expressed appreciation for the strong statements of support and sympathy we got from Russia after the Uri attack. He recognized the personal role of President Putin in the building of India-Russia relations over the last 2 decades. And he said that actually this relationship is so strong, so deep, that we are responding together organically to international developments and changes. The message in a way was that we used the term special and privileged strategic partnership, but the message really was that we saw Russia as more than a partner, as a friend. And the sense of the meeting was that the relationship has really recorded very substantial progress in the last 9 months in different sectors, and some of those are reflected in the joint statement and the agreements. On his part, President Putin he agreed with all of this and noted specifically the progress in energy, where, as you know, we made very substantial investments in the last 4 months in business, in defense cooperation. And both leaders actually also noted that the high-level exchanges between us had been very strong, continuous, very helpful in taking the relationship forward. There was some discussion on the 70th year of diplomatic relations that will be marking next year, a sort of a calendar of activities for that. A lot of the discussions were focused on 4 or 5 priority areas, because again, please bear in mind the discussions are still ongoing. Some of it was on military technical cooperation, the S-400 system, the 1135.6 frigates, the progress in the Ka-2260 helicopters. There were 2 new proposals on which we agreed, reflected again in the joint statement, about a military technical conference to be held between the 2 countries, an industrial conference, as well as a science and technology committee in that area. The developments on the civil nuclear energy side were reviewed in some detail, and again, I think the events we saw at the press conference spoke for themselves. The KK2 coming on stream, the foundation, the concrete pouring for KK3 and 4. We have discussions underway on KK5 and 6, which are progressing. PM particularly expressed support for expressed appreciation for the support that Russia has given us on the NSG issue in the context of civil nuclear energy development in this country. The delegation level talks spent more time on economic issues, particularly on the energy sector. Now, apart from the sort of summary of the talks, on the joint statement itself, I just want to point out to you that the joint statement underlines the long-standing mutual trust between the two countries, characterized by unmatched reciprocal support to each other's core interests and unique people-to-people affinities. It reaffirms the special and privileged strategic partnership, notes the commonality of positions on important issues, including war on terrorism, underlines our appreciation for Russia's unequivocal condemnation of the terrorist attack on the army base in Uri. Then it reviews the progress of the what was agreed to in the annual summits of 2014 and 2015, walks us down various elements of that, the economic issues, the commercial trade, investment issues, the transport corridor, the CEO's meeting, the National Infrastructure Investment Fund, the civil nuclear issues, as I mentioned, the regional cooperation areas like health, space, defense, security, and people-to-people ties. On the specific issue of terrorism, again, I underline to you that the leaders strongly condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestation, emphasized the necessity for comprehensive international collaboration to ensure its eradication. They stressed the need to deny safe havens to terrorists and counter the spread of terrorist ideology, stop recruitment, prevent travel of terrorists, strengthen border management, and essentially have an international legal regime built on the principle of zero tolerance for direct or indirect support of terrorism. On the agreements, again, most of you are familiar because the substance of the agreements will be read out to you, but I do want to make one very important broad point, which is that if there was an area where India-Russia relations in the past had not done as well as others, it was in the economic cooperation. And you would see in the last few years that we are devoting a lot of time and energy to bringing that up to speed. So what you saw before you were big investment agreements, and these are cross investments. You have India investing in oil fields, Russia investing in refineries in India, areas like smart city, shipbuilding, gas pipeline, training, and even in defense now, the Make in India expressing itself through the JV on the helicopter, the KA-2260 helicopter. So overall, the readout I have for you today is really a very strong relationship, a time-tested relationship, and as we speak, the Prime Minister and President are meeting on a one-on-one on lunch to discuss regional and international issues. So again, our agreed positions on many of them are captured in the joint statement. At the moment, of course, the focus of my briefing for you is on bilateral cooperation. I don't know if the Ambassador would like to add anything more, but we'd be happy to take your questions.
The floor is now open for questions. Please identify yourself before you ask your question. Ashish.
Foreign Secretary, this is Ashish from ABP News. So Prime Minister's statement categorically states, we deeply appreciate understanding and support of our actions to fight cross-border terror. Could you please elaborate, sir? Was this in response to a firm support extended by President Putin in the meeting with the Prime Minister on sensitive slides carried out by India?
What I would do, I can do even better than that. I can read you the operative sentence of the joint statement, which is Indian side expressed its appreciation for Russia's unequivocal condemnation of the terrorist attack on the army base in Uri. You're all familiar with the subsequent statements which senior Russian officials have issued. I think their position on this matter is very clear. Their position on terrorism is very clear. It is again captured by a very lengthy paragraph in the joint statement. I think if you put 2, 2 and 2 together, you will get the desired number.